Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of our SQLite tutorials. In this part we are going to get into C# part of the SQLite tutorial. So I'm going to start creating a new project. It's going to be a console application using .NET framework. Let's go ahead and click next. I'm gonna change the solution name to SQLite tutorial. And call this SQLite console app. Let's just add SQLite at the beginning of the name, and that should take care of it. Click create. Alright, so basically we are going to do the same process we did in first part, but this time using C#. Okay, we'll start there and then we'll build on it. Okay. Alright, so here we are in Visual Studio, and first thing we need to do is we need to bring in a NuGet package to our solution. Okay, so I'm going to, you know what, actually, let's leave this alone for now. First, I'm going to create a few methods here. Okay, so you can get the idea what we are trying to do. So I'm going to create a static void. This first method is going to create a table. Okay. The second method, it's going to create, well, we are going to create the table and then we'll add data. So static void add let's say, we can say row or records or data, whichever makes sense. Let's call this row. Okay, and then next one will be delete. Let's call this delete row. And finally update row. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 methods. Okay, so let's start with creating the table, and actually with this we have to create a database as well. Okay, because we don't have that user interface that has default SQLite database like we did with Firefox here. So we still can use in-memory database, but let's go ahead and create an actual database. Alright, so I'm going to create a string variable, let's call this db file, and this is going to be equal to, so the syntax here is going to be URI, all caps, column, no, actually equals file, column, and then the name of the database. Let's call this my SQLite DB .db actually. Okay, so that's going to be our, this is going to be our, the name of the database, my SQLite DB.db. Okay, all right, and actually this is also going to be the connection string. On the next, let's see, let's try to make a connection. So if I type in SQLite Connection and we don't get any IntelliSense, again, that's because we don't have that NuGet package yet. So let's go ahead and bring that NuGet package in. Alright, so I'm going to right click on our project, select Manage NuGet Packages. And then here I'm going to browse System Data SQLite. See, I already did. It's right here. Just going to select that. Okay, this first one here, I think that's the one we are looking for. This is going to bring in a bunch of good stuff. It covers .NET Framework from version 2 all the way to version 4.6, I think. Okay. And I think this is the one. Alright, let's go ahead and install this. Let's get a minute to finish up. Okay, let's select OK. It actually brings in the anti-frameworks as well. Hit accept. I think we are done here. Wow, looks like installed all this along with it. See these green check marks? I think that means it includes those packages as well once you select this first one. Alright, that's good. So now let's see. We should have references here. Alright, we got SQLite, SQLite EF6 link, and all that good stuff. So now, if I go Control Dot, let's see if we get a suggestion, and there you go, using system data SQLite. Okay, so I'm just going to bring that namespace in right here. And now we got our type with correct color. Alright, so this is going to be a connection variable. So I'm going to just call this connection equals new SQLite connection. And we are going to pass in, I think we have a SQLite connection, so we'll pass in this DB file variable. Okay, that's going to create the connection. So the next thing we want to do is, once we have the connection, we need to open the connection. Connection dot open. Okay. All right. So our connection is open. Now we need to create a table. Let's create another string variable. String. Let's call this create table. Actually, yeah, let's call this table. All right, so table equals, let's open our quotes. So in here we are going to pass that SQLite statement. I'm just going to copy from here, or you know what, let's just type it in. So create table, let's get a different name than what we had. Let's say person. Okay, so it's going to create person table, and let's specify our variables, our types. So ID, let's use caps for these just for the hell of it. It's going to be type of integer, primary key, and then we'll have a name, and this is going to be text, or you can use varchar. Okay, all right, so let's close this. Oopsie. Okay, so we have our string. Now we are going to need an instance of this SQLite Command object. So SQLite Command, and let's call this command equals new SQLite Command. And for this guy, we are going to use an overload version that takes 2 parameters or arguments. Okay, I think it's the 4th overload version. It takes a string command text and Sqlite Connection. Okay, so we have both here. This one is the command text that we are going to use. So the TBL is the command text, comma, the connection object, which is this guy here. So let's pass it both variables, both parameters in, and close this out. And then we are going to say command dot execute non-query. Okay, and then finally connection, close the connection dot close. All right, so let's build this and run it, see what happens. Okay, build succeeds. Let's run this, and it opens the window and closes it, which means it went through fine. We didn't get any exceptions, so let's go ahead and open the project in File Explorer. If we did it right, it should create a new file, database file, in our debug folder. Okay, and sure enough, there it is. So mysqldb.db was created for us. Okay, now let's go ahead and add a record. So since we have the database there, I'm gonna copy into this database file, paste here. Okay, actually we still need this too. We need the connection to open. So I'm just gonna copy those 2 lines as well. Okay, now that we have the connection, next I'm gonna create a string variable, and this one will say person. Okay, this is going to add person. Oh, let's call this add person, so it makes sense a little more, I think. All right, so in here we're going to type in our SQL statement, which is insert into person, and then we can supply ID, comma, name, values, let's say 1, and then name is going to be John Doe. Okay, so that's our SQL statement. And then we are going to say we're going to need the command object again. So I'm just going to copy and paste this. Well, there's 3 lines. Copy paste 3 lines. Instead of table, now we need to change this to add person. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and add a couple of lines of code at the end of this method. So what I want to do is have the console window to wait and display that row was added. So we're going to say console.writeLine row added successfully, and then we want the window to wait. So console dot read line. Okay. All right, now we can call this method from our main. Let's comment the first one out and call our add row method. Okay, let's run this. Okay, our message is displayed. Let's hit enter and close this. Okay, now I'm going to use the other tool here in Firefox, which is this guy here, Sqlite Manager, and I'm gonna drop the database right in here. So I'm gonna grab this, drag and drop in here. Okay, so what this tool does, it detects the table and displays the content with this command here. Okay, displays the content of your table. Okay, so far we have one record and it's displayed. Let's go ahead and add another record or a couple more, because we're going to need to, for the next two methods, we are going to need to play with those records. So let's change this name here to ID to 2, name to Jane, and run this. Okay, we should have another record. Let's go ahead and add one more with ID of 3, and this one, Jail Jones. Okay, let's run this again. Now we should have 3 records in our database. Okay, let's go refresh this and drop the database again to check the content, and sure enough we have 3 records in our database, in our person table. Okay, alright, so far so good. Let's continue with the remaining methods. We can basically copy and paste this whole thing and make changes. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so here we're going to change this. Instead of add person, let's change this to delete person, and then instead of this command, SQLite statement, actually we're going to say delete from person where ID equals 3. Okay, and then change this variable to delete person and change this to delete it successfully. Okay, I think we should be okay. Connection, we have the delete person statement. We're passing connection and delete person into our SQLite command, and we are executing it and closing the connection and displaying our message. Okay, so let's go to our main and comment this add row method out, and instead call the delete method. Okay, and let's go ahead and run this. Okay, row deleted successfully. Hit enter and close this out, and let's double check our database. Let's refresh this and drop the database back in there. Okay, so we have 2 records remaining. We deleted number 3, that's gone, and we have the remaining 2 records. So let's continue with, I think, updates. So alright, so same idea. We're going to copy and paste this and make changes. So instead of delete person, we're going to call this update person. Likewise here, and modify our SQL statement. So instead of delete, we're going to say update, person set we want to change, let's change the name column of set name. Actually, change person name. I think first we need the set name, right? I think it was set is the command. Okay, I think it was like this. Sometimes I get confused as well, just like everybody. So set person, update person set name. We want the value, new value, to be, let's say we want to change John Doe to Jim Jones. Okay, where ID equals 1. Okay, so we're still supplying the condition, and we are changing the name property. Well, yeah, column, changing John Doe to Jim Jones. I think this is correct. Row updated successfully. I think we're good. Let's try this out. Let's go to main and comment this out and call update methods. Okay, let's run this. Let's find out if we did it right, and I think we are good. Let's refresh it, drop our database, and there you have it. Jim Jones. John Doe was changed to Jim Jones. Alright, perfect. So basically we covered all 4 transactions that we have seen in first tutorial, and that's it for now. We are going to continue with SQLite in the next part. Alright, until then, take it easy, have a good one. See ya.